Liberating people was an exhilarating experience, but now many countries had to be rebuilt. Constant supplies of food and other necessary materials were needed urgently, and in their absence, thriving black markets were established. Of particular importance was the building of relationships with the defeated enemy.
And it was wonderful going through these countries because the people came from nowhere and were cheering us and wanted our autograph. I gave my autograph so many times. I thought, this is silly, you know. And I wrote down Eamon de Valera on one of them just for fun. Oh, it was marvellous. We said to each other, this is what it's all about. This is what we came for, to get these people free. I was driving along top of a petrol tanker, just sitting on the top. It was a lovely day, and a civilian came running towards us, waving his arms about, and he said in English, "The war is over, the war is over." And we knew it was coming. It wasn't a surprise, but we were still delighted. And when we got back, then the CO was waiting for us, and he confirmed that the war was finished. And he said, "Our job is finished here. You've done very well. Thank you very much. We're splitting up now, and half will go to Paris and half will go to Copenhagen, and we'll try and fit you in with your desires." And we went straight up through Germany and then into Denmark, and we went up to a place called Kastrup Airport. And there were Germans everywhere, German airmen, and the CO, he had committed suicide the night before because he didn't want to surrender. Yes, and he shot himself with a Luger revolver. And I remember going to see him lying there, and I picked the revolver up and nobody was looking. But the sequel to that gun business was I was going home on leave later on, and I was on a troop ship going to England, and there was nothing else but servicemen on board, and they were on the tannoy all the time. Anybody taking arms into the UK will be sent back and court-martialed in Germany. Very serious offence. So I chucked it overboard. And when we landed, guess what? Nobody bothered searching us at all.
Moving into Germany itself was a revelation of pure hatred. Even with the kindest thoughts, when you occupied a village or a town and you tried to be decent to the civilian population, they didn't look at defeated people. No, they looked at it came across to me as resentful. They were resentful that we were there. They were resentful that we had got so far. When we were in Osnabrück, for example, the complete regiment was put in charge of Osnabrück. And as a result, we policed Osnabrück. And the black market, I am sorry to tell you that the black market was very rife, and that was from officers down. Principally cigarettes, tea, and if you were fortunate enough to have any delicacies such as a tin of beef, bully beef or meat or stuff like that, they were in the market for it, because at that particular time the Germans were short of rations. Particularly in Osnabrück, any of the boys who fancied their chances with the girls and started a relationship with the girls, quite a number of them were found in the river with a knife in their back.
We went out to India with the purpose of attacking the Japanese in Singapore, and then we were replenishing the stocks, as you might call it, the people ready to form a division to attack Singapore and mainland Japan. And we met a group of guys coming back from the NAFI. It must have been about 9 or 10 o'clock at night. It was a soft Indian night, you know, very dark. And they said, "It's all over." So we thought they'd been drinking. You know, so what do you mean it's all over? He said, they've dropped some bloody big bomb on them and they've surrendered. They're giving in. And that was quite true. It come through on the army radio that they dropped the atom bomb. And then they said, we're obviously not going to attack anybody because they've given in. but we'll be going to Japan to form. We're going to form an occupation force. You know, does anybody want to go to Hiroshima? And a number of people say, yeah, I'd like to go. And so we went in trucks. There's only little things stick in your mind when we're walking around the place, which was all rubble. But there was a milk bottle, melted, you know. It was like you see in some of these art craft shops, you know. But it was a melted milk bottle. I always thought afterwards I should have taken that home, you know. Completely flattened. But I mean, the Japanese cities were very, very fragile. But there were a couple of what we might call reasonable buildings, you know. Well, at the beginning, you see, at the outset, they gave it lectures on. They said they're completely, you know, you must not fraternise with them at all. You got to treat them like dirt, you know. And in fact, although we were given books on Japanese, they were very curt military books, you know. And the Japanese didn't like this at all. You see, like a silly example perhaps, but Ohio is Japanese for good morning, you see. But they never just say Ohio, they say Ohio gozaimasu, which translated literally is good morning, please be kind to me in the future.